there is a decrease in confidence in public cloud. My name is Chris Cowdery. I'm Head of Cloud Services at Trust Systems. I'm joined today by James Hall, who is from Zadara. Zadara are our strategic cloud partner. We'll go into the details of what that means in a second. But we are a managed service provider, cloud service provider, network managed service provider, and a provider of digital display systems to household names that you can see on the right-hand side, such as Audi. We have a strategic relationship with Arc data centers. I'll talk more about Arc and the importance of that as we kind of go forward. And as you would imagine, we have the accreditations from an ISO and kind of cyber essentials perspective that you would expect of any UK cloud service provider. And we're also a provider of services to HM Government via G-Cloud and also Crown Commercial Services. So key takeaways for you today, really, that we're going to kind of cover off. So number one, why public cloud workloads, we're seeing a trend of workload and data repatriation back to on-prem cloud and infrastructure. We're going to talk about sovereignty, compliance, and kind of geopolitical risk. We're going to talk about navigating kind of alternative solutions in a post-VMware environment. And we're going to talk about how technology trends are shaping cloud strategies. And then ultimately, we'll talk to you about our Trust Cloud platform and how that can potentially provide a viable solution to businesses and service providers up and down the UK and across Europe. So kind of looking back to look forward, this slide made me laugh because it just kind of reminds me of how old I am. So if you cast your mind back to kind of the early 90s, there was no such thing as a data center really. We all had servers in broom cupboards and we hope that they didn't fall over. And then in the 2000s, I think it was 2003, VMware came out with ESX 3.5 and introduced vMotion, which was really the birth of cloud as we know it. It introduced high availability, redundancy, and resiliency on a single platform, and it meant that we could get much better density for our workloads than we were ever used to. No brainer, and I remember knocking little private clouds out of the park at the time. So the glory days, as it were. Fast forward to kind of the 2010s, the kind of mass adoption of public cloud, the mass exodus to the likes of Azure and AWS, and then fast forward to today, a kind of a different dynamic out there in the cloud market, and we're going to talk about and hone in on some of the challenges that we're seeing today. So, what are we seeing? What are those challenges? So there is a decrease in confidence in public cloud. There is huge disruption in the cloud marketplace because of the acquisition of VMware by Broadcom. So VMware, if you don't know, and have been under a rock for 20 years, they have been the market leader in terms of the cloud hypervisor space, like I say, for the past couple of decades. And they were acquired by Broadcom, which has caused quite a bit of disruption across the globe, really. There are tighter regulations, evolving compliances, a need for AI-ready infrastructure, legislation and compliance that's driving requirements for really secure data handling and kind of sovereignty by design. And then growth in, again, kind of AI and edge-dependent workloads. So, the Broadcom piece. In a nutshell, Broadcom acquired VMware a few years back, and over the past 12, 18 months or so, there's been a gradual severance of VMware partners globally. It's taken a while to trickle through to the UK, but they've really applied the 80-20 rule really to their business. So it's a common strategy for Broadcom to do this. And ultimately, 80% of their revenue was coming from 20% of their clients. So they decided we don't need the rest of the ecosystem, even though we were the poor minions that helped build them up in the first place. They've cut us off. It means that thousands of businesses up and down the UK and hundreds of potentially managed service and cloud service providers can no longer legally transact VMware. So that leaves a huge problem for everybody, including us, because we've got clients with estates of VMware, and as of the 1st of April, we are legally no longer allowed to transact that or renew contracts. So everybody needs to look for an alternative solution. If you're not aware of this, if this is news to you, go and speak to either VMware yourself if you're a partner, or go and speak to your distributor to understand where your contracts end, because the chances are you won't be able to operate and get updates post the end of some of those contracts. The other issue is that they've removed perpetual licenses and forced everybody onto subscription licenses, which are anywhere from 300, 400. I've seen instances of 1,000% increase in cost. So yeah, goes without saying that that's caused huge disruption for everybody. Public cloud confidence is shifting. I won't dwell on this. I mean, there was a major outage in 2025 in October. AWS had a DNS issue, which meant that it was offline for 15 hours. Social platforms, media services and banking weren't able to access their systems. So again, it was quite a high profile one, but it doesn't help in terms of the confidence in public cloud, which is supposed to be, as robust as it can possibly be. Rise in operational complexity. So organizations are having to deploy quite complex tooling in order to realize the benefits of true hybrid cloud. Again, if you don't know, hybrid cloud is not having some instances in Azure and AWS and then a private cloud on-prem with a VPN or a network connection between it. Hybrid cloud is where the two platforms are truly integrated and governed under a uniform security operational framework, right? That's the true definition of it. To achieve that is actually quite difficult. It requires a lot of kind of skill and expertise from a tooling perspective. And again, over time, that proves to be commercially quite a high operational cost. And then cost unpredictability. Studies show that predictable workloads in public cloud can be anywhere between 30 and 50% more expensive over a longer period of time. So just to give, to kind of back up some of this stuff, here are some sources here. Again, I won't dwell on these because we've got a lot to cram in a short space of time. But repatriation from public cloud is a real thing. CTOs, CIOs are making that a part of their strategy. 80% of them are kind of, citing outages, and regulatory drivers are kind of amplifying that trend. So very quickly to talk about some of the legislation and compliance issues that we're seeing, which is contributing towards this. James will.
I'm going to be very quick because the VMware piece is probably the most important to people. Has anyone heard of the Patriots Act? Or the Cloud Act? So basically, if you're using a US hyperscaler, that's all of them apart from Alibaba, the US government can effectively force the hyperscaler to look at any data that's on their platform. That includes any of your data that's in that platform. And when you talk about the outage that happened, HMRC, DWP, these government organizations didn't realize that the data was even in the US, because it was US East or West that went down, I can't remember. So the Patriots Act and the Cloud Act is driving UK businesses and European businesses to evaluate what they have put in the public cloud and start to bring the most critical applications, aka the most sensitive data, back into their country, therefore having sovereignty. Yeah. And even more interesting, because I'm not going to dwell on these points, the other interesting thing is the Cloud Coalition, which is a UK body, is now looking at anti-competitiveness and how we put guardrails around what we do from a data perspective for the government. There is a similar project from the EU being run out of the Netherlands. But more interestingly, this will be my last point, recently, and very recently, France and the Netherlands have basically set a target for their own developers to create an email messaging platform, a Teams-like platform, and a OneDrive/Google Drive type platform, because they're stipulating that they will take everything out of Office 365 by 2028. So if you've got two governments in two major countries, and I suspect we will follow suit, creating their own email platforms and their own messaging platforms and their own shared drive platforms, so that that data is exactly where they know it is and where it should be, should say it all. mostly driven by the Patriots Act, but also the hyperscalers are now massive targets for cyber criminals. Because if you can get in there, once they realize how much data is in the public cloud, sensitive data, it makes them a classic target for a ransomware attack. So if you've got data in the public cloud, firstly, do you know where it is? Do you know what country it's in? And if you don't, you should find out. And if it's sensitive data, you might want to think about bringing that back on premise. If you've got nothing to hide from the American government, not a problem. But it's whether you want that information being accessible by the NSA, the CIA, for example. On that note, I'm going to be quiet.
Thank you. Sorry, we've got not a lot of time left and still a fair bit to go through. So introducing an alternative, 5 minutes, thank you very much. Trust Cloud powered by Zadara. So we have been busy, like many of the businesses that I've talked about up and down the UK and other managed service providers, cloud service providers, thinking, what are we going to do? How can we help all of these businesses that are now orphaned and don't have a cloud solution? So Zadara really were the perfect partner. Their solution, their cloud infrastructure is designed for cloud service providers like us. It means it's got all the bells and whistles, all of the security, complies with all the legislation that we need for us to be able to provide a sovereign, secure and high performance cloud platform for clients in the UK and across the EU. So yeah, a reliable VMware alternative, evergreen infrastructure. It's never to be understated the cost of feeding and watering a private cloud platform when the hardware comes to the end of its life, licenses need renewing, etc., etc. With our Trust Cloud, it's OpEx and it's evergreen forever. So you never need to worry about that. You don't need to worry about nuts and bolts. We take care of that as part of a managed service. You get to consume the cloud resources and focus on what's important to you, which is clearly your business. Data security, again, just in terms of compliance and stuff, AES 256-bit encryption of data in transit and at rest, and hosted in government and cabinet office approved UK data centers. I'm trying to talk too quickly again. Managed service, again, we can provide an end-to-end solution with this so that you can focus on your business. And it's multi-tenant. It's designed actually for partners as well. So partners can come on with white label capability and consume resources and sub-tenant on our platform. And the billing is all orchestrated from within the Zadara platform as well. That's very difficult to achieve, by the way, if you were trying to do that on a dedicated private cloud. So I'll skip this slide. This really just talks about the capability of Zadara in a nutshell. No single point of failure, cloud scalability and economics, tailored workloads, guaranteed storage performance is a key takeaway. We can do object storage, NFS, CIFS, all of that good stuff. Everything that you would need is capable on the platform.
And GPU workloads.
And GPU for AI as well going forward. We can provide NVIDIA GPUs and GPU as a service. So the reason why this is a key message really is that this is all underpinned by our data centers. In terms of sovereignty, there's not really any better accolade that we could have by partnering with ARC. So we're a reciprocal client of theirs. We provide building management systems for them, and we also host our cloud within their data center. So again, being approved by government and Crown Hosting is a great accolade in terms of that data jurisdiction, that data kind of security piece. So we're very proud of that. The only thing I'll touch on here is we have a partnership with Assure Store, and through them we're able to provide immutable backups to protect clients against cyber attacks. Again, lots to go through. Come and see us on our stand at the end of the pitch and we can talk about these things in more detail. Again, end-to-end managed service that we can provide here, and 10 takeaways as to why Trust Cloud is, I think, the perfect alternative to stranded VMware clients up and down the UK and indeed across the EU. So with that, come and join us on E220. We have drinks, we've got experts, myself and James will be there. We have a demo of Zadara if you're interested in seeing that, so you can actually see the portal as well. And we have a raffle for a shiny new iPad. So with that, thank you very much for listening, and enjoy the rest of your day.